Haaland set the ball rolling with a wonderful goal, his 100th for the club. Calafiori tucked in an equaliser, but Walker was out of position, with Michael Oliver having called him and Saka together because he was unhappy with some of the off-the-ball push and shove that was taking place. Walker hadn't got back into position, but he allowed Michael Oliver, Arsenal, to take the kick. And from the area that Walker vacated, Martinelli teed up Calafiori for a wonderful equaliser. Then a corner came in. Gabriel thundered his header into the roof of the net, but Edison had been impeded, but VAR looked at it and said no, it wasn't enough. Then, as the referee was about to sound a half-time whistle, Trossard, who'd been booked earlier in the piece, then kicks the ball away, and he's booked for a second time, and Arsenal are down to 10. Well, let's go over to the studio where there are enough talking points to get us through the half-time interval and more.
Half-time here at the Etihad Stadium. It's Manchester City 1, Arsenal 2, but that doesn't tell the full story. So much to dig into here. We're bringing you live shots from the tunnel here at the Etihad, and given all the goings on in the first half, you can understand there's probably a lot of conversations go on in there. Paul, I'll come to you straight away. What a 45 minutes of football.
I don't know what we're going to talk about, Kel. There wasn't a lot that happened out there, do you know what I mean?
I mean, we were probably not going to have long enough, I don't think, but we'll try.
From kick-off, wasn't it? The block on Havertz, on Rodri, it sort of set the tone, didn't it? And it looked as if Arsenal were trying to wind Man City up that first 20-25 minutes, it sort of bounced back in them, you know, because City were really at it after that. But half full of incidents, two top teams going at it. I've really not enjoyed City being behind, but I've enjoyed watching it, you know, because sometimes these games can be a little bit boring.
Well, and there have been a couple like that in the last year or so, but this is extraordinary. And it was amazing that it felt, anyway, that what happened to Rodri in the first few seconds really galvanised the City players, and they came tearing into it. And they get a great goal, and life is real good. Everybody's enjoying themselves here from a Man City perspective. And then, you know, another incident happens where Walker's called over, and both captains are called over, and Sacco, and he has to make his way back into position. Now, the argument is, did he have enough time? Because he looked to me like he strolled a bit. Yeah. The urgency wasn't quite there to say, oh my God, they're getting a free kick, I better get back in. He had a little stroll up, had a little look around, and went, oh, I'm in a bit of trouble, and puts his hand up. Referee wasn't for moving. It was an unbelievable finish. You know, you have to give credit for that, and that stunned the stadium, I think, you know, and then for it to move on and to end the way it did, for the goal to go in then with another disputed decision. He'd already just, he appeared to have given a free kick for the previous corner for something very similar. VAR looked at it, somebody in VAR said it wasn't a foul, so the goal stands. And then to cap it all off, then we get the sending off, you know, like, it's just amazing stuff. Like, it's been, that's the quick, now I was going to say 45, it was about 55 nearly in the end by the time the time is added on. But that's breathtaking stuff all round. And I kind of feel for Man City, I really do. When you add it all up, OK, they've 11 v 10 this half. That doesn't mean a lot when they'll be facing the bus. We said they wouldn't park the bus, Arsenal. Totally they will second half. It's a tough task now. Lots of head scratching, but I don't know. Where do you go from there? Take me out of this.
That was a fantastic start, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The goal.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll start there. Then there was obviously, as you said, Paul, there was this little kind of a little knock on Rodri to begin with. Very strong start from them from City, and it was a beautiful Savinho assist with the big man up front getting his 100th goal in a Manchester City shirt, which is an incredible achievement and is worth celebrating on its own. But talk us through the goal and the finish.
See, there's that many things going on we've not even mentioned about his 100th goal. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit, you know, it's ironic because me and Niall were talking about how Arsenal centre-halves and defensively they're such a good unit, but there was a big gap that opened up, you know, which was caused by the touch from Savinho. You know, it left Calafiori, what was he called?
Yeah,
Calafiori, that's the one.
There we go.
He's jumped in, but the touch inside was fantastic. But then there was a big, massive gap in between the two centre-halves. And then once the big man's going through and goal, you know, I was expecting him to do open his body out and slide it in, but once he's through there, he's going to score, and it was like a little toe poke finish.
Lovely, yeah, a little outside left as well. Yeah, really good. And what a happy stadium of bar the Arsenal fans down the other end. But looked like, wow, that's it now. Everybody was expecting a dour 0-0, and you know it was going to be tight, and suddenly Arsenal had to come out and find something. That's only like the start of it. It really gets it. And Rodri getting injured For real, yeah, that was it. I think that was a moving point in the game.
It was, well, that came, didn't it, just before the equaliser. And it was hard to tell. I mean, you guys were privy to replays here, because obviously initially, like, Partey was the man who was marking, but don't think there was anything untoward. He's just probably got a bit unlucky with his knee.
You know, I've done both cruciates by Mike Studs clutching in the grass as I've turned and stopped to turn, and I hope it's not that. But I know why he went down, and certainly because even if it's just the jar, it's, you know, there's a lot being shaken up there. So hopefully the best it can be will be a week or two that it settles down. But it didn't look nice.
No. It didn't. You can tell the anguish in his face. You know, he was really distressed about it. So fingers crossed he's going to be okay.
Yeah, all our well wishes. I mean, the only, I don't know if it is a silver lining, was he did manage to hobble himself off as well, rather than a stretcher. But of course, we're just sending nothing but well wishes to Rodri and hope that it's a very speedy recovery. Then we get to the goal now. Before the finish, to set the scene now, that the referee had called Kyle Walker and Saka, the two captains, probably just to have a conversation about a few antics that were building because of the tone that had been set. Now, the argument that fans were saying was the referee didn't give Walker enough time because it was on his right-hand side. But you say...
Well, I had a couple of looks at it on the replay afterwards, but you know, you must. What's happened? Yes, both players are called, okay, and they have their little chat and they move along. And I just think if you look at Kyle Walker on the way back, there isn't that urgency to get back in and say, right, I got to get back into position. He was strolling a bit, and then suddenly the diagonal ball was played, which was a great ball, and he's got his hand in the air now because he's a yard or two, you know, away from not being set. Now, that's not the only reason the ball went in, because it was an unbelievable finish. Yes. You know, to go the inside of the left foot to make it into the top corner against such a great goalkeeper as Edison. Nobody's mentioned that. It was such a great finish. And it completely stunned Man City. So the chips were down a little bit then, and, you know, they said, OK, got to regroup. But when the corner kick comes just before half-time, and the goalkeeper is... I'd be more complaining about that one than Kyle Walker.
See, I would complain about both. But I said at the time, though, I couldn't understand why Michael Oliver called both captains in.
Well, there was a bit of tension in the air, and there was things happening.
But it's his job as the referee to deal with that.
Yes.
I just think he's made an even bigger thing out of it by calling them... Because Saka's over one side, Kyle's down here, he's in the centre circle.
Yes.
So he's just made a big thing about calling them in, when I think he should deal with the little niggles what's happening himself.
And was it a foul for the corner?
Definitely. Niall's right about Kyle getting back in quicker. But once Michael Oliver's called him in, he's got to give him the opportunity to get back in.
To where he came
even
from.
If he's walking back.
Yeah.
He's got to, once he's called him in there and he's out of position, he's got to let him get back in.
Yeah.
Whether Kyle should go in quicker enough, whether he's jogging back and thinks, oh no, the ball's coming now, I better make an effort. I think he's got to do better on it. At least let him get back in and take it from there.
So then that was the equaliser. It was, you have to say, it was a cracking finish from Calafiori there as well, of course, who Arteta had chose to start. So obviously he rewarded Arteta for that choice. Then we get now, before the corner of the goal, there had been a corner before, and it seemed as though a free kick was given by Oliver for something similar, but then the second corner comes in, they play it deep into the box and seem to almost crowd the keeper a little bit.
They did the exact same thing, and what was really interesting on it was the first time he almost acknowledged that he'd seen a foul without actually blowing the whistle. He told everyone to calm down, I've seen it. And the exact same thing happened. The 5 or 6 Arsenal players all queue up at the very back post. They make their way in, and 2 of them have no intention whatsoever of doing anything but one going in front of the keeper, one going behind, and giving him a little bump. And actually, the bump happens as the Arsenal player is not even looking at the ball. And that's the argument, I think, that says, is it in the spirit of the game? It was purely to put the goalkeeper off.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes goalkeepers over-exaggerate what happens, and there was a bit of a dive. I don't know, it didn't look as if the impact should have been enough for Edison to fall over the way he did. But the referee was having none of it. And then when it went to VAR, we looked at it really quickly, didn't we? So, he's going to give, VAR are going to change it. And they didn't. I think they've seen it as an elaborate attempt maybe by the goalkeeper to show that he was fouled worse than he was. I don't know. But I'm marginally, more than marginally, I'm 60-40, 70-30, it should have been a free kick.
Yeah, and we were just saying, weren't we, in the studio here as well, that whatever the decisions are, whether we agree with them sometimes or disagree, consistency is the thing we're looking for the most. And if he's given it for the first one, it feels remiss not to give it.
I think that's the most frustrating thing for us sitting here, for all the fans in the stadium, the City fans anyway, that is that there's no difference whatsoever in the space of 5, 6, 7 minutes from the first and the second one. And whether he's gave the first one, he's looked to give the first one, he's told him he was going to give it, but it went out for a goal kick. But then for the same thing to happen, I don't quite understand. And
it's really interesting. I think when we look back at all the next days, it'll be on all over TV everywhere. It's just the intent of the two players to make their way into the goalkeeper. They're not even looking at the ball. They're looking at the goalkeeper. I'll get in front of him, you get behind him, and then our other guys will come in, and then they're on a one-on-one with whoever they're marking. But because of the zonal marking, they're coming with a run. Big 1, 2, 3 jump, hard for the defenders. But the fact that fantastic athlete of a goalkeeper isn't part of the defence of it all because of what the two Arsenal players did, it throws open, is it right? People say the word block. Oh, it's a block. It's a block. I think that was a foul by two players who came together and I suppose cutely got away with it.
Yes, yeah.
And I think they've been doing it a little bit all season.
If you're Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, you're buzzing, because that's something that's not something that's just happened.
No.
We've just seen it twice in a short space of time. That's something they've worked on and they've looked at, and it's come off for them. But if he's going to give the first one, I can completely understand why he's gave the goal for the second one.
Yeah.
But the other way around, I can't get it.
When you think about it, right, so a goalkeeper has an ability, right? Can come for a ball. He was impeded from doing that. There is no doubt about that. Now, did he overindulge in the theatrics? Maybe that's what made the referee decide we did. But somebody else in Barra thought the same thing. So that casual sort of almost just block you there, It's not like a big rough thing where you're stopping and pulling people. It's that kind of faint casualness about it all. Still a foul. Still a foul.
Yeah. It's very rarely now, as far as going on, that VAR will overturn a foul.
Yes.
And what the referees, they're all clear and obvious rubbish. And he'll say something else there.
Yeah. Nearly.
Yeah, nearly.
It is very frustrating, but we'll move on from that then decision, because then as well, just as we thought we'll breathe, get to half time, they still had one more little thing to happen. There was
big thing.
Sorry, you're right now. I say a little thing. There, of course, a free kick was given. This is literally with 20 seconds to go around the halfway line here at the Etihad, for a shove-in Bernardo Silva from Trossard, who then kicked the ball away seconds remote.
Now, so again, as I watched it, I think I'm the same as everyone in the stadium. Nobody was expecting him to be sent off in the stadium. There wasn't one person jumping up saying off you go. It was a surprise. The referee went straight to his card, and the commentary as well would tell you that. But I think as he made his foul, which he thought he got away with, he runs to the ball, he sees something on his left-hand side, there is an Arsenal shirt, and then at the last second when he hears the whistle, it's a kind of a reaction. So is it that kind of thing where you deliberately kick the ball away to waste time? I'm not so sure. He'll feel hard done by the letter of the law. It's correct.
Yes.
But if every other decision today was done by the letter of the law, the score wouldn't be 2-1.
Yeah.
I just think he's been stupid.
Yes.
Once he's heard the whistle, and
just
don't do it.
Especially after what happened to Rice as well.
And knowing you've been booked already, and knowing what happened to Declan Rice a couple of weeks ago, to put yourself in that position after he's been booked, on half time, they'll feel hard done by. But I'm sure when Mikel and they look back at it, they think it was just a stupid thing to do. There was no need for him to do it.
But it did happen very quick. We watched the replay in slow motion, and it looked, we'd loads of them. But sometimes in the quick flash moment, you do things like that. And anyway, look, it may play to City's advantage. I don't know, but I think we'll see the real old-fashioned part of the bus.
Well, we can see it. There's obviously a change happening. Ben White coming on for Arsenal. So how will that have changed? What's that going to do to Arsenal, Paul? Do we think? Obviously, we can't. We spent all show trying to second guess Arteta and Pep, which we can't do. But obviously, it changes the manner in which they play in their team talk and City's. Quickly, how do you think
it just depends who's coming off. Whether they stick with the back four or maybe go with a 5.
I think they may go to a 5. I can see that. But look, Calafiori is still there. He's not going to take off one of the others. I think it'll be one of the
Timber. Is he still
players. There? Yeah, he's possibly still there. So I'd imagine they're just going to try and get a crowd.
Maybe a Martinelli, Saka, or a
Martinelli
Havertz.
A Havertz or Martinelli. I thought works his socks off, didn't he, on this side, trying to support.
The two wide players for Arsenal have been fantastic in their defensive work. Saka and Martinelli doubling up on Doku, and especially Savinho on their side, because Savinho's been fantastic this half.
He really, really has. Well, listen, Wow, and breathe. So, half-time at the Etihad Stadium, Manchester City 1, Arsenal 2. So much to have spoken about there in the first half. I'm sure there'll be plenty more for us to speak about after the second half. So make sure you come back to the Matchday Live studio. Thanks to Niall, thank you to Paul, thank you to you for watching. I'm now going to hand over to Alistair Mann, who's got commentary, and let's just hope City can turn this around. It's Arsenal 2, Manchester City 1.
Well, thank you. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that Bukayo Saka is the player who has been withdrawn and Ben White has taken his place. So the intention obvious and I suppose understandable in the circumstances as well. Bukayo Saka off and Ben White is on. So we know what's going to happen. They're going to park the bus, they're going to waste time, they're going to spoil whenever possible. They'll do what they can to take this lead back to North London. And if they were to get that victory against City here at the Etihad Stadium, they become